National Lampoon, the Yellow Door!
All right, I'm gonna give it up to my first comic. It's a good friend of mine. Give it up for Mario Reyes, everybody.
All right, San Diego! Woo! National Lampoons, let's fucking hear it. I've heard drinking, let's hold them up. I'd like to see the drinks. All right, we're going to refresh that back in the end. I got to say, National Lampoon's Club, I'm honored to be here. All my life growing up watching National Lampoon, and it's an honor, right? With my brother and my sister, we watch that, and I know what you're thinking. My name's Mario, and you're probably thinking, he said he has a brother, Luigi. That's not my brother. All right, if you guys know what I'm talking about, Luigi Mangione? Yeah, that's not my brother. All my life, people have said, hey, Mario, where's Luigi? Well, I never had an answer until now. Well, the answer is he's in federal prison for being a fucking hero. Right? I didn't see a CEO in that video. I saw a guy that was DOA. And if you don't know the video I'm talking about, he's the guy that killed the healthcare executive. If you don't know the video, catch me after the show. I'll show you. It's saved on my phone under favorites. Yeah. No, and that might be a conspiracy theory with Luigi and all that. And I'm going to bring up a few conspiracy theories tonight, San Diego. But one thing I got to say is we all know Luigi's good for dead. The government's going to kill him. We know that, right? I just hope that the government gives Luigi that same option that they gave the guy in South Carolina. A few weeks ago, a guy in South Carolina was getting put to death. And the government gave him an option. They said, listen, you can have electric chair, you can have lethal injection, or you can have the firing squad. And he chose the firing squad. And that got me thinking, all right, if I had to choose, what would I choose? And I have a black man in front of me. What would you choose? Yeah, you don't have an option. But, I was thinking, I'd do what they do in the Middle East, where they stone you to death. Yeah, and then I found out it involved rocks and not marijuana. Yeah, I was like, fuck that. I'd rather have the weed. Right? So, that could be one conspiracy theory that's going around. And another, for the last couple years, we've had this coronavirus going around, right? And I got to say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm from a city called Corona, California. Anybody ever been to Corona? Yeah, in the last 5 years, I tell people I'm from Corona. And it's like, I go all over the country doing comedy. I was in Oklahoma recently. I was in Las Vegas. Last week I was in Victorville. I'm not bragging about that one. No. But everywhere I go, I tell them I'm from Corona. In the last 5 years, they run from me. It's like I'm saying I'm from fucking Wuhan or something. And it's like, guys, I never got the coronavirus. I never did. But I did get the COVID-19. And if you don't know the differences, let me teach you, baby birds. I was actually anorexic going into COVID. I had just lost 200 pounds. True, it's called getting a divorce. But no, I put the COVID-19, that's the 19 pounds that my fat ass got in quarantine. You can tell I got that bitch about 4 or 5 times. Yeah. I really had just got a divorce right before 2020. That's not a joke, that is true. But I gotta say, I'm still single 5 years later. I'm not bragging about that either. But one thing I gotta say, I love the bigger women, and I know we got some fat girls out there because I can hear you breathing. Yeah. But one thing, I've tried all the dating apps. And one thing I've learned in the dating apps, and gentlemen, please take my advice. We got some women out here, lovely women. And let me ask, women, have you all received unwanted dick pics? Right? You got one today? Wow, yeah, see, every woman in here has had an unwanted dick pic. And that's what I've learned from the dating apps. I'm never going to send a woman a dick pic. It's rude, it's disrespectful, and honestly, I'd rather send you a full-length video of my dick. Yeah, full length. It's going to be a short documentary, but it's a hard watch. Yeah. But I know, I've learned, one thing I've also done in dating apps, I've tried them all. I've tried Tinder, I've tried Bumble, I've tried don't try Grindr. Yeah, Grindr turned out to be a major pain in the ass. Never met a real girl on Grindr, just a bunch of fat dudes with dicks, tits, and this guy in the second row. But it's Pride Month, so, But yeah, so one thing, I'm going to give up on dating apps. Because I heard recently of a lady that was in female prison. So I'm going to start writing to female prisoners Because this one girl, she got lucky. Her name was Gypsy Rose. Yeah, she was that retard bitch that went to jail for killing her mom a few years ago. She got out of jail. She's not retarded anymore. Well, she's kind of retarded. I saw her social media. Her titties ain't fucking retarded, though. All right, San Diego, don't judge me, all right? I'll fuck a retarded bitch. Okay? I really will. I was watching Love on the Spectrum the other day, and they had some retarded chicks on Love on the Spectrum. I was like, fuck yeah, dude, they're hot as shit. Yeah, because Gypsy Rose, she got with the real-life Peter Griffin lookalike. Right? So I figured, if he can get lucky, I can get lucky. She got knocked up right after she got out. She just had the baby. Congratulations, Gypsy. I hope that baby continues the family tradition, of killing the mom. Another female prisoner I was writing to, and she was actually up for parole, and she got denied. I was writing to Yolanda, that's Selena's killer. Yeah, I was writing, Dear Yolanda, I think I can manage Selena better too, let's talk. She hasn't written me back, and I figured it's because I don't speak Spanish. I'm like the whitest Puerto Rican you're ever gonna meet. But San Diego, you guys seem like a really classy crowd. This is National Lampoon's The Yellow Door. Can I tell a classy dating story about Tinder? Yeah. All right, we're going to do that. So recently, I met a girl on Tinder, and it wasn't supposed to be a one-night stand, but it became a one-night stand. Let me explain. We had been talking for a few nights, and I go to her house, and she opens the door in red, sexy lingerie, and right away, I'm like, all right, we go right to the bedroom. Things get hot and heavy. Now, I got this girl doggy style like this, right? And yeah, I got her doggy style. And a few minutes into it, I noticed she had a freckle on her ass. Now, a few minutes later, that freckle is now just above my belly button. Yeah, it's a shitty story, San Diego. I didn't know what to do. So I went like this, I wiped, and I realized, oh man, this girl poo-pooed on me, right? Well, gentlemen, I had her doggy style, so I grabbed her by the hair. And that made her more excited. She was like, oh, hell yeah, you can put it in my ass. And I stopped and I said, listen, anal sex is a lot like eating your vegetables. If you were forced to do it as a child, you're never going to like it as an adult. But no. So that's what I did. I just wiped it off in her hair. Yeah, and then I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't know where to finish that joke, so I just jumped in my car and came to National Lampoon's. I told that story to tell another story later on. But we'll get back to the shit story in a second. Do we have any Michael Jackson fans in the audience? We really? All right, cool. I told you I'm going to bring up some conspiracy theories. There's a conspiracy theory going around the internet right now. It's #Farrah killed Michael. And it's the belief that Farrah Fawcett killed Michael Jackson. Yeah, no way, right? Google this. #Farrah killed Michael. And it's the belief that on the morning of Michael Jackson's death, Farrah died first. Yeah, Farrah actually got to heaven around 9 o'clock in the morning like she had a fucking nail appointment. And Jesus said to Farrah, Farrah, you were such a good earthly soul. I'm going to grant you one wish. And Farrah didn't have to think hard. Farrah just said, Jesus, I want all the children of the earth to be safe. No more child predators. Yeah, 2 hours later, Michael Jackson was dead, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's a conspiracy theory that I made up, and we're going to push it tonight. #Farrah killed Michael. Okay, I got a few minutes, I see. I want to get into a story. Besides doing stand-up, I do a few other things, but I also do a podcast on YouTube with two powerhouses of comedy, with Howie Mandel and Harland Williams. And we have a podcast called When a Stranger Calls. And the idea of this podcast is we call strangers. Well, we're on this podcast, and I used to tell this story about my ex-wife, that the last present I ever gave my ex-wife was a pair of hiking sticks. And when I handed them to her, she said, why? I said, it's because I want you to take a hike, bitch. True story. Well, Howie and Harlan know that joke. I don't really do that joke anymore on stage, but they know that joke. And they say, listen, we're doing the Valentine's episode of When a Stranger Calls. Let's call your ex-wife and ask her about that story. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell, I don't get embarrassed at all on stage. I just talked about a girl pooping on me on stage. Nothing embarrasses me. My ex-wife, who hasn't spoke to me in almost 5 years, she brings up a story live on the podcast about the time I asked her to peg me. Do you know what pegging is? Lovely couple right here. Pegging is where your woman wears a strap on and she fucks you with the strap on. All right? Well, that doesn't embarrass me. I can't get embarrassed by that. So what I did, ladies and gentlemen, when I was in Victorville recently, I went to the swap meet and I had hats made. Make pegging great again. Right? Yeah, I'm going to start selling these on my website for $30 each. I also got a line of strap-ons, too. I got those through Temu. Because nothing fucks you like a product from Temu. One more thing. Besides doing stand-up comedy, I also do videography. I have my own video production company. Recently, I was making a video with Sublime. I was making another video with a guy named Brian Head Welch from Korn. I do his sober recovery videos for New Origin Sober Recovery. But one other thing I do, I work with a band called DGAF. Does anybody know what DGAF stands for? What was that? It's DGAF. What was that? Don't give a fuck, sir, that you were wrong. There are women and children in the audience. Please watch your fucking mouth. It's actually a Christian soccer organization. It's called Doing God a Favor. Yeah, if you don't buy that, I don't give a fuck. No, it's an acronym, and there's a lot of things it means. For you ladies in the audience, it's ditch guys after fucking. For us guys, it's dirty girls are fun. But when I came out here, I asked you guys if you were drinking, so let's hold them up one more time. All right. Another DGAF. It means if you're drinking and driving tonight, don't get another felony. And the most important, ladies and gentlemen, don't go away forever. All right? My name is Mario Reyes. You can find me on Instagram at Instagram Mario Reyes 82 or on YouTube in the Howie Mandel podcast, When a Stranger Calls. National Lampoons, this has been fucking awesome. Thank you guys very fucking much. A dream come true. I got to bring up our next comic. Our next comic I met outside. He was a really nice gentleman. He's growing a mullet right now. But he's wearing a San Diego Padres hat, or jacket, I'm sorry. And I know where I'm at. I know I'm blocks from Petco Park. And I'm going to tell San Diego this. Your park will get used in October. It's going to be turned into a Spirit Halloween store. I'm a hardcore Dodger fan. I know where I stand. All right? I see a Dodger hat right here. We're brave. I wore blue for a fucking reason. All right? Fuck San Diego Padres. Well, I do love San Diego comedy, I would say that. Our next comic's coming to the stage, and I asked him, why are you wearing the Padres jacket? And he said, well, it's Gay Pride Month. I said, well, that makes fucking sense. Ladies and gentlemen, your next comic. Hold on, before I fuck his name up. Joaquin Nichols!
What's up? What's up? Fucking Dodgers fans, man.